All right, so this week we're talking about chapter 18 in the Western Heritage book or text. This week we're talking about the French Revolution and how the Enlightenment really led to the French Revolution. As we talked about last week, the Enlightenment was all about people and passion, feelings, science, scientific thought, and reason. Those things gave way to agitation among people who were at the lower classes. They saw the aristocracy really working toward these social reforms that they felt weren't really helping them. They didn't really want to be delving into their feelings or looking at art or finding ways to better everyone else's lives. The lower classes wanted their own lives to be improved. And because they weren't improving as quickly as they thought or at all, they decided to rise up against the aristocracy. And so you get the French Revolution coming out of the Enlightenment as people become more aware of their own circumstances. The aristocracy were at the top and had most of the money, and the lower social classes really were fighting for scraps from there. And so as the French Revolution started to happen, you get these huge land grabs that they're taking. There was an attempt to de-Christianize France. They thought that maybe the religion was leading to a lot of this. As we talked about in 101, that potentially is something that was going on in the church. However, I think at this point where organized religion was really taking a back seat in some ways, I'm not really certain that de-Christianizing France would have helped. But I do believe that is an issue or a factor. One of the themes that I want you to look for in this week's reading. The aristocracy is losing land, and because of that, they decide that they need to enact some social reform that's going to help the lower classes. That doesn't really work as well either, and in the end, you get the French Revolution that comes out of that, where the aristocracy and the nobility are running for their lives. You get French peasants that are rising up and beheading people, which you're going to see, and I'm sure a lot of you already know this if you've taken any world history in high school or since that time. Ultimately, you get Napoleon Bonaparte, who rises up to become the general and take over, and his whole idea is that he's going to stabilize France. This is an issue that one of the reasons that we need to understand that Napoleon comes in and he makes it more stable but he's not seen as one of the nobility like everybody else is. Although he would have been a noble, he's not seen as that. But he also has military force behind him, which might be the reason that he's not seen as a nobility. But I just hope that as you read through the themes this week that you're able to see that the major things that I want you to look for, the factors for the French Revolution, which we've kind of talked about. And if you read last week's chapter, then you're going to understand that the Enlightenment really gave way to the French Revolution because of the thought. And as a social historian, what I'd like you to understand is that there's this issue going on underneath, which is that you have the aristocracy and the nobility sitting up here, and they're saying, well, if we do all of these things, the people below us should feel better. And then you have the people who are down here at the bottom saying, hey, those things aren't helping us at all. We don't really want to be thinking about others or reasonable moderation. We just want to eat. Okay? And therein lies the problem. So as you read chapter 18 this week, I hope that you find some of those themes and are able to connect those dots. One of the big pieces, if I was lecturing today and we were having a discussion about this, I'd ask you, what are some of the connections that you could make to today? And I think that there are some very valid concerns. One of the things that gave rise to the Trump administration is that there are a lot of people in this country who don't feel like that they're being heard at the top or from the upper echelons of our society, and so they're frustrated. And so we get the rise of the Trump administration and this idea, or the Tea Party several years ago, people who are really frustrated with that their circumstances aren't changing. and they believe that they're entitled to something, whether that is political representation, or better jobs, or whatever it might be, welfare. I mean, there's a myriad of things that people are frustrated with today, and I think that we could definitely see a correlation between the society during the French, or right before the French Revolution, and today with that idea. I wouldn't say that we're out beheading people today, but obviously we're calling for their jobs politically. We are electing people who have no tie to government, specifically so that we can get a change, and hopefully somebody who thinks like us will then move into the presidency and help move things in a direction that's going to support us and going to improve our circumstances. And so there is this direct correlation, I believe, as you read this week. Just look at some of those things as you have your discussions this week, and your assignments. Try to make those connections so that you can see that the French Revolution, although far in time, isn't that far off from where we're at today. So I hope that your reading goes well. Look for those themes. If you have any questions, reach out to me, and have a good week. We'll see you later.